there's a shift, I think, in the way that you're characterizing what's happening on the social web, social mobile even right now. It's gone from being saturated fat, yeah, you can have a bit of it and it's okay, to being tobacco smoke, where you say, actually, as it exists, this is fundamentally bad.
Yep.
So, what do lawmakers, what do policymakers need to believe about this for them to actually move against it in the way that you're suggesting? Because I don't think that's the general popular opinion.
Yeah, well, I think people are waking up to the fact that these issues are connected. We used to view tech addiction, polarization, outrageification of politics, teen mental health going just down the toilet, that these were separate issues. But when you realize that the business model is extracting human attention, it's a race to the bottom of the brainstem. I have to go lower on the brainstem to get attention out of you. I have to addict hundreds of millions of kids to getting attention from other people, and that is systematically creating all sorts of harms on the balance sheet of society that we call human downgrading. While we're upgrading the machines, we're downgrading humans, and we're going to look back at the attention companies as sort of like the Exxons of human attention. They're mining human souls. And I say that because from a regulatory standpoint and for investor standpoint, we have to look at these attention companies as having a systemic risk, that we're going to look at companies like Apple that are actually protecting human sovereignty and our data differently.
So when you think of practical solutions that we're hearing about right now,
yeah.
One is Twitter, for example, looking into underplaying or downplaying the importance of follower count.
Yeah.
Or Facebook hiding likes on Insta in some test cases. Is that a solution or not?
Well, that's definitely a step in the right direction. But the question is, how will Wall Street react? When Twitter actually shut down 70 million fake accounts last summer, Wall Street penalized them for doing the right thing when they're actually cleaning up a bunch of the garbage. So right now, so long as the stock price is directly tied to how many users or how much time people spend, which is there's addicting and mining that out of you, they can't do as much as we need them to do, which is why we need policymakers to step in and say, hey, we can't have an extractive attention economy that downgrades humans.
It seems to me it comes down, I mean, part of the reason people are as engaged as they are is because they have access to it in the first place, which comes back to the device and the smartphone itself. So how do you actually remedy that?
Well, so actually this is where Apple's in a really interesting position, because people think about government, they think about, Washington or the EU. But think of Apple like the Federal Reserve of the attention economy. They're actually holding the rule-keeping measures for what apps can do and can't do, and they can actually start to do quantitative easing to improve the attention economy, to be from a race to the bottom of the brainstem to a race to the top to how do we actually help people with their lives, more like a GPS.
But there's Android at the same time.
And there
have been markets created around attention and advertising. I mean, that was the rise of Google, and it has gone viral in a way that it hadn't in the past. So can you really turn back the clock on markets when they're working the way they are now?
Well, this is the challenge. This is just like with Exxon, as I mentioned, and fossil fuels. We're kind of addicted to these business models. But we're going to look back and realize that free was the most expensive business model we ever created. Because your business model is basically downgrading attention spans, downgrading politics, downgrading democracy, downgrading mental health. You want a system in which billions of dollars are piled on top of basically mining attention out of children. Teen suicides have gone up 3x in the last 8 years, okay, for teen girls. So we don't want basically a downgrading of systems by profiting off of it. This is
really
ridiculous.
Quick, give us a sense of how you were a design ethicist at Google, yes?
Yeah.
Do these conversations take place at the Googleplex?
Well,
is it going on actively?
I think now things are starting to change because employees on the inside even are waking up to the fact that this business model is corrosive. And so we're seeing a lot of people actually speak out from the inside. The walkout was internally organized at Google. And I think that's increasingly happened with Facebook and with the attention companies. Again, Apple's in a unique position to do something different and positive because that's not their business model. But we need the whole industry to move in that direction. That's the transition we have to make happen.
Quickly, when you look around the world, places like Europe, for example, that have imposed much more strict regulations around the internet, are they doing the right thing? Do you think there are any countries that are taking the right tact towards this?
Well, I think GDPR and things like that are great first steps, but they're band-aids on top of what is fundamentally just a bad business model. So we need to correct the business model, and I think that's starting to move, especially because in places like France and New Zealand, where there's actually shooters and things like that are happening because of the hate speech on these content platforms. These are the governments that are starting to act much more aggressively very soon. The UK, France, New Zealand, Australia, starting to make even the executives criminally liable when there's hate speech.